Welcome to another edition of Don Hammond's Arlington Weekly News. Once again, I'll be doing a variety of different character voices to try to break up the monotony. Here's the lineup for this week. The news, of course, Community Bulletin Board, and 55 Plus News. We'll also have some more on-the-ground reporting. That's the show. Now here's the social media reminder. You can watch us on YouTube at Arlington Weekly News and the number 1, also on Facebook, and you can listen on the radio at WERA 96.7 FM. Now, on to the news.
As of Sunday evening, October 11th, reports show the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Arlington had exceeded 4,100. Regular viewers and listeners will note the continuing increase in our reported case numbers. Meanwhile, the Arlington County News Desk has released the following cheerful-sounding message, and we quote, "After a record-breaking 2018, tourism spending in Arlington rose to $3.6 billion in 2019, according to data released today by the Virginia Tourism Corporation. Arlington has led Virginia counties in visitor spending for 12 consecutive years, with local tourism in 2019 generating $97.8 million in local tax receipts that benefit Arlington County programs and services for the community. The industry also supported the livelihoods of more than 27,000 hard-working people at Arlington hotels, restaurants, stores, and other businesses, an increase of more than 2% from 2018. According to Telly Tucker, Director of Arlington Economic Development, these impressive numbers show just how vital the tourism industry is as an economic driver for the county. Visitors at our hotels contribute to the vibrancy of our neighborhoods and help local businesses, both large and small, thrive. Their activities result in important new revenues that have a positive impact on our community, and that is even more evident in today's challenging times." Unquote. It's nice to know that things were going so well last year. The release did not include any statistics from 2020. Elsewhere, the Arlington County Police Department is seeking the public's assistance in locating a critically missing 37-year-old man. Mr. Andrew Lee Sellers was last seen at approximately 6:15 a.m. on Friday, October 9th. He was in police custody for a non-criminal incident and was receiving medical treatment in the 1600 block of North George Mason Drive. Mr. Sellers is described as a black male with black hair, brown eyes, a beard, 5 feet 10 inches tall, weighing 180 pounds, and, at the time, wearing a surgical gown. A search of the area by officers returned with negative results. There is no known threat to the community at this time related to this incident. Police are concerned for the health and well-being of Mr. Sellers and are requesting the public's assistance with locating him. Anyone with information regarding his whereabouts is asked to contact the Emergency Communications Center at 703-558-2222 or 911 in an emergency. Also in the news, the Arlington County News Desk has released the following message. The Virginia Alcoholic Beverage Control Authority, also known as the Virginia ABC, has once again temporarily suspended the alcohol licenses of the Purple Ethiopian Restaurant and Lounge after finding the establishment in violation of the terms imposed by the negotiated resolution, acceptance, waiver, and order executed on September 16th. As a result of this action, the alcohol licenses of the Purple Lounge will remain suspended for a minimum of 10 days, with reinstatement dependent upon approval by the Virginia ABC. At approximately 10:51 p.m. on October 8th, Arlington County Police were conducting surveillance on the parking lot of the Purple Lounge, located in the 3100 block of Columbia Pike, to ensure compliance with the conditions of the previously established order with Virginia ABC. During the surveillance, an officer observed suspicious activity consistent with narcotics use inside an occupied parked vehicle. Officers approached the vehicle, made contact with the two occupants, and determined that they were intoxicated and using controlled substances. During the course of the investigation, officers located suspected narcotics inside the vehicle and discovered a loaded firearm from the front of the passenger's pants. Daisy Spivey, 25, of Alexandria, Virginia, was arrested and charged with driving under the influence, possession of controlled substance 1-2, and open container. She was held on bond. Mulayali Halhul, 25, of Washington, D.C., was arrested and charged with felon in possession of a firearm, felon in possession of ammunition, possession of a firearm while in possession of Schedule II drugs, possession of controlled substance 2, carrying concealed weapon by a felon. He was held without bond.
Arlington County Police notified Virginia ABC of the arrests and officer observations that no security personnel were patrolling the parking lot of the Purple Lounge at the time of this incident. Virginia ABC promptly determined the Purple Lounge was not complying with the following restrictions set by the order. Restriction number 4. The licensee agrees to have at least 4 clearly identified Department of Criminal Justice Services certified security personnel on duty every day of operation between the hours of 9 p.m. and closing, with at least 1 guard assigned to patrol and monitor the parking lot, who will begin monitoring the parking lot no later than 8:30 p.m. and will remain on duty after closing until the parking lot has been cleared or until at least 30 minutes after closing, whichever is longer. Also, restriction number 5, the licensee will not permit any loitering, loud music, or drinking in the parking lot at any time.
On the evening of October 9th, Virginia ABC and Arlington County Police served the Purple Lounge with a notice of surrender. The suspension of the licenses took effect immediately. Elsewhere, the Arlington Police reported 3 incidents of indecent exposure this past week. The first occurred on South Quebec Street on October 7th at about 7:25 a.m. The second took place on North Pollard Street on October 7th at about 3:04 p.m. The third was on North Meade Street on October 8th at about 10:10 a.m. From the suspect descriptions, it seems possible that rather than having 3 suspects, there might be only one who just gets around and has a couple of changes of clothing. The third report was the only one to mention the suspect wearing a gator mask. It is unknown whether or not the previous offenses were COVID safe. Finally, in the news, sometimes it's hard to know whether or not a report of larceny is even news. Maybe a month without a larceny would be more like news. The October 12th entry from Arlington's crime report listed 15 instances of larceny. I'll just give the locations. The 4300 block of 26th Street North. The 4200 block of 31st Street North. The 2100 block of South Columbus Street. The 2300 block of North Pershing Drive. The 2400 block of Crystal Drive. The 4300 block of North Carlin Springs Road. The 1100 block of North Irving Street. the 1100 block of South Hayes Street, the 800 block of South Greenbrier Street, the 600 block of North Vermont Street, the 4500 block of 39th Street North, the 3700 block of Military Road, the 2800 block of North Glebe Road, the 1300 block of North Buchanan Street, and Unit Block of North Thomas Street. It's hard to feel safe anywhere. That's the news. Now it's time for Community Bulletin Board, or CBB.
Hi, and welcome to CBB. Here's a message from the Arlington County Public Library. Are you in the 7th or 8th grade? Are you an avid reader of sci-fi and/or fantasy books? Look no further. You have found your tribe. The Sci-Fi and Fantasy Book Club meets monthly to discuss a variety of pre-designated book titles. This month's reading theme is Haunted Horrors. The titles for this month are Spirit Hunters by Ellen O., The Night Gardener by Jonathan Auxier, or The Screaming Staircase by Jonathan Stroud. Due to limited availability, participants should choose only one of the 3 titles to read and discuss this month. They are not expected to read all 3 titles. Participation is limited to 7th and 8th grade students. The next session is coming up on Wednesday, October 21st from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock p.m. This is a virtual event and registration is required. You can register at the library's website. Not to be outdone, here's a message from the Arlington County Department of Parks and Recreation. They say, "Let's ride! Teens ages 11 to 17, come take a bike ride with the Office for Teens." Unquote. For more information, you can call Charlie Eby at 703-228-7790. You can register online or call 703-228-4747 and reference activity number 782018. That's on Thursday, October 22nd from 4 o'clock to 5:30 p.m. at Bon Air Park, 850 North Lexington Street. Next up, we have an event for families. Here's their message. Get ready to go wild. Each program will focus on specific groups of wildlife that live right here in Virginia. How can mammals survive the extreme weather changes of the mid-Atlantic? What are their adaptations and strategies? You will receive an emailed link to Microsoft Teams before the program's start time. You should have your device ready to go prior to the start of the program. Registration is required. You can register online or call 703-228-4747. That's activity number 612950-BB. That's coming up on Thursday, October 22nd from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. This is a virtual event. Finally, we have another event for families. You will need to register both children and adults, and children must be accompanied by a registered adult. The whole family is invited to join up at the Fort C.F. Smith Park Fire Ring for lots of old-fashioned fun. Now, the message is silent on the subject of s'mores, but for information, you can call John McNair at 703-228-4775. Register online or call 703-228-4747 and mention activity number 612750-I. That's coming up on Friday, October 23rd from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m. at Fort C.F. Smith Park, 2411 24th Street North. And yes, This is a real event. Now it's time for 55 Plus News.
Howdy, and welcome to 55 Plus News. There will be a reading and discussion of Anton Chekhov's classic short story, The Bet, which was published in 1889, if you'll cast your mind back. Participants will take turns reading the story aloud, a few paragraphs at a time, in a round-robin fashion. Then they'll discuss it afterward. Be sure to bring your thoughts and insights. The event will be facilitated by 55 Plus member Bill Turner. You can register online or call 703-228-4747. Long as you mention activity number 911402-13. That's on Wednesday, October 21st from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock p.m., and this is a virtual event. Next up, Vincent Verwey of Arlington County's Urban Forestry. He's the manager. He will return for a virtual tour of Arlington's trees in National Landing. This is where they will hopefully thrive among the many office buildings and homes found there. Vincent will describe what makes a great urban tree space design and the challenges that urban trees often face. He'll also highlight some of the National Landing's fantastic trees that are already there. Register online or call 703-228-4747. Activity number is 911400-12. That's coming up on Wednesday, October 21st from 1 o'clock to 4:30 p.m., and it's another virtual event. Next up, we've got another one of them 55 Plus scenic bike rides. These friendly rides feature scenic views along trails in our own backyard. The pace is casual, and there will be ample time for socializing with fellow riders. As usual, they'll regroup several times to ensure everyone catches up and is safe. Even so, I think you really should try to keep up. Meet in front of the free parking zone in the garage located between the library and Harris Teeter. Be sure to park on level 2 or above. Register online or call 703-228-4747, and that's activity number 911700-16. Well, you're probably wondering which library and which Harris Teeter. Well, we'll get to it. It's coming up on Thursday, October 22nd from 11 o'clock a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m., and that's the Shirlington Library at 4200 Campbell Avenue. And remember, this one's not a virtual event. This one's real. Finally, in 55 Plus, we got something about croquet. Now, this lawn game is as much fun today as it was in Victorian times. No instruction will be provided, but it's played with balls, poles, wickets, and mallets. The game had a surge in popularity in the 1920s, and some of the fans included Harpo Marx. His motto was that they played, and I quote, with mallets toward none. That's what passed for a joke in the 1920s. You can register online or call 703-228-4747, and it's activity number 911700-13. That's coming up on Friday, October 23rd from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock p.m. at Walter Reed Community Center and Park, 2909 16th Street South. Once again, this is not a virtual event. You actually have to go there and do stuff. Well, that's about it for 55 plus news. With mallets toward none, huh? And some people still wonder what killed vaudeville.
Here's a little commentary. On October 7th, our friends at Oral Now posted the following headline: Amazon donating $1 million to Arlington and Alexandria schools. There was also a post from Amazon itself, which read as follows: New. Amazon is expanding its Right Now Needs Fund again, this time across 57 schools near our second headquarters in Northern Virginia. End quote. There still seems to be something magical about that 1 million number. It might even conjure visions of the millionaires from 1920, when the average annual income was a mere $3,269.40. Most people would work their entire lives without earning anywhere near $1 million. Times have changed, but there's more to consider. Dividing that magical million by the 57 schools, the average donation per school comes to $17,543.86. When the donation is considered on a school-by-school basis, some of the magic might seem to dissipate. However, there's still more. The schools won't just get their $17,543.86 plunked into their bank accounts to be used at their discretion. Instead, the donation will come in the form of a fund. According to Amazon, and we quote, site coordinators and school social workers within each of the school districts and schools will work with families to identify individual student needs and request assistance from the fund. Communities in Schools Nova, leveraging existing relationships with both school districts, will distribute Amazon Education Assistance Product Vouchers, a prepaid payment designed specifically for education-related needs. Students and their families can redeem the vouchers for a wide variety of carefully curated items that students need to be successful at school, including food, school supplies for at-home learning, warm clothing, hygiene items, and more. By using the prepaid vouchers, students and families can redeem much-needed items in a dignified and convenient way. End quote. The phrase dignified and convenient is subject to question. First, the involvement of those site coordinators and school social workers suggests that parents will have to somehow apply for assistance. Some parents may feel uncomfortable admitting that they are unable to provide their children with basics like warm clothing and hygiene items. Second, the phrase carefully curated suggests definite limits on what a parent may hope to obtain, especially if they have a child with special needs. Third, by establishing a fund that is available only upon request, there is one possible outcome that raises a question. If parents are sufficiently hesitant so that the fund is not fully utilized during its first year, what will become of the remainder? Is this to be a one-time donation? Finally, there's the matter of economic scale. The Arlington County Public School System's projected budget for fiscal year 2021 is $670.3 million. $1 million is less than 1/5 of 1% of Arlington's budget. And with the name of Amazon featured on all the vouchers, $1 million is also a tiny fraction of Amazon's $11 billion advertising budget for 2019. Of course, the schools will accept the donation, but the thanks might be justifiably faint. It's just a matter of perspective. And that concludes this week's show. We will be back next week with more news from Arlington. Meanwhile, be careful, be safe, and be well. And now it's time for some more signs of the times. We promised you some out and about reporting. Well, some form of graffiti is alive and well in Arlington, although it seems to be mostly done by very small, very young people. Fairly indecipherable, but nonetheless intriguing. The Halloween decorations are on the increase. We have an elaborate witch and cat and pumpkin and hay bale motif here. Next up, we have a tableau, a skeleton of what seems to be a pug dog with a bone of its own. Ever inventive Arlingtonians seem to always find new ways to use available community resources. Here we see a flag container to help people cross the street, repurposed as a trash receptacle. I guess it's better than just tossing it in the street. Another tableau on the front yard was some rather cheerful looking pumpkins and a strange looking sort of stone bird who's not quite sure what to make of it all. A family group, we think, of pumpkins, and a very large Frankenstein's monster and a rather small ghost, proving that it takes all kinds to make a world. Here's a ghostly figure that doesn't seem to be limited to Halloween, but when you think about it, he is pretty spectral. Here we have a strange sort of creature, suspended, and yet always looking in both directions, reminiscent of the old god Janus. Halloween is here merged with an affection for cats, and this is continued on along the other side of the same house. I would think that churches might make more of Halloween since it comes the day before All Saints' Day, but the only thing I found was this entirely commendable sign. Another lineup of autumn and Halloween characters combined, and a mysterious sort of metal flower thing that seems to be multi-seasonal. The sign says welcome, but the look on the front door makes me nonetheless nervous. And finally, a skeleton with a mask serving as a kind of a warning, perhaps to show us the consequences of not remembering to include covering your nose. And that really is the end of our show.